So that's about it. I guess it went around the corner. Hey, Stuart.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. All right, it's such wonderful weather tonight, though,
Oh,
tonight.
man, traffic.
And I was leaving to work, and lucky I'm going to watch this thing. Right, he's got to drive in this.
See if you can do like this.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to go back into session, regular session.
Got a motion from Bob, do I hear a second? Motion from Bob, second from Charles. District 1,
District 1 votes yes.
District 2? Yes. District 4?
District 4 votes yes.
5?
Yes.
7?
Yes.
8?
Yes.
And I say yes, we're back. New business approval to purchase a parcel of land located along Highway 1 as part of the proposed industrial park entrance. Dixon County Tax Map number 06000100065. Purchase of property.
Let me explain.
Yeah.
What it is. It appeared that somewhere in the past, there was a sewer line that was run out to a piece of property off number 1 to an agreement with the old Leesville mayor years ago. There was a sewer line that ran across number 1 over across where they're planning on putting the entrance to the new industrial park. And a 20-foot easement was run across that piece of property. Lexington County's tax map system could not count a piece of property that was outside the town and inside the town with the same tax map number, so they gave a new tax map number to the 20-foot easement. The people that own the property paid the taxes on their piece of property and never paid it on the 20-foot easement, so it got sold for taxes. Somebody bought it, and so that person had basically owned for the last 4 or 5 years a 20-foot easement with a sewer line underneath it.
A ditch.
The ditch with a pipe in it. The easement was signed back when it was done, but it wasn't properly attested to, so it couldn't be recorded. So what I took upon myself to do, after hearing some other people, is found out who that was that bought it, called them, said, hey, you don't own a driveway, you own a sewer line. And they offered to sell it back to the town for what they had put into it. I think that was $870.
They purchased it for $668. You're willing to sell it.
And what the $868 is, that counts for what they bought it for and their taxes for the next 2 or 3 years. That's where the $868 comes from.
Do I hear a motion to approve the purchase of the ditch? Tax map number 060010065 for $868.
I so move.
From Rachel, second from Charles. Any discussion? District 1,
District 1 votes yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 4,
District 4 votes yes.
District 5.
Yes.
District 7,
Yes.
District 8, and I vote yes. So now the entrance to the industrial park will be complete. Thank you. Mr. Stewart, you're on deck. Please, sir. Folks, this is Stuart Hucks with the U.S. Department of Agriculture Rural Development.
Appreciate the opportunity to be with you. It's been a long time coming.
So right. Michelle and I will text it this afternoon after you and I talk. Woo! Woo!
Almost time. Mayor and members of council, what I have for you tonight is what we call our letter of conditions for phase 1 of your water treatment project, which is basically going to be your intake at the lake, the raw water line coming back to town, your holding ponds, and the booster pump station at the future plant site. And water line running I won't read this to you word for word. Ms. Mayor, has everybody seen the letter or not?
Well, that's what we were just discussing.
Okay. All right, I won't go over this word for word then if you're familiar with it. From what I understand, a lot of you were around the last project we did, y'all did with us. So I'll go through some of the important points, and if you have any questions at any time, you'll stop me, we'll talk about any issues that we need to talk about. Second paragraph on page 1 is the scope there of the letter we just discussed. The proposed funding is not to exceed $13,192,000, and we have to break that into 2 loans because our system won't obligate anything over $8.9 million. So that's why the 2 loans are there. So we actually have 2 loans just for the project. Paragraph 3, following conditions, and this is coming from our national office. Following conditions must be met prior to proceeding with construction on phase 1. Number 1, the phase 2 project must be underwritten, presented to the RD national office. National office concurrence given, and we've basically got that accomplished because we were working hard on that late Friday afternoon whenever we were deciding how we were going to fund the project. Whether it was going to be one project as phase 1 and 2 combined, or just phase 1. And I think the money just was not there this late in the year to fund both phases, so that's how we ended up doing phase 1. So we are still very much interested in doing the phase 2. So that's one condition. Number 2, town officials meet with officials from Saluda County Water to again discuss a joint project with them. Last paragraph on page 1 is the what we call the graduation requirement. That's if you're ever able to get conditional credit at some point in the future, we ask you to do that. And that's the goal of our program, is to finance you to the point that you're able to get conditional credit and if you're able to. All right, let's go to page 2. Item number 1 has a breakdown there of project budget. You can see the estimated construction costs, land acquisition, legal fees, engineering, interest allowance, and contingency allowance for a total of $13,992.
And that's coming out of our PER, is it not?
Coming straight out of the PER. Correct. Okay, over on page 3. Item number 3 is just general information about disbursement of funds. We'll cover all that. Once we get into construction, give you all the forms you need to request disbursement.
That's just drawdown basis, is it not?
Drawdown, that's right, as needed, as the invoices and contractor payouts come in. That's right. And those will be approved by the project engineer, by the town, by, of course, the contractor will submit them, and us, and they'll be, have to be signed off on by all 4 engineers before they're approved and paid. Item number 4, security will of course be by bonds. We have a pledge by virtue of a revenue bond, the lien on the system. Over on page 4, of course, that will require services of bond counsel. Item number 5 on page 4 is the payment. The interest rate will be a fixed rate for the full term of 40 years. It will be 2 7/8 for 40 years. Based on that loan amount, that will give you a monthly payment of $46,304. 10% of that's required to be deposited in a reserve account, what we call a debt service reserve account. That's your rainy day fund. So if anything happens in the future where you're not able to make the payments, you'll have that fund that you can draw out of to make the payment. And no funds should be withdrawn from that account without our prior approval. Once the balance in that fund equals one year's debt service on your loan, you don't have to make any additional deposits in that fund. And that would be a total, when it's fully funded, that would be $555,648. You can do that in monthly increments.
556.
Yeah, 556. You can do that in monthly increments. You can fund it all at one time. You can fund it in however you want it, as long as long as you make those deposits, that will be recorded in your audit. That'll be one thing you look at, just to make sure that you're keeping up with it year to year. So that's one fund, one reserve fund. The other one on the bottom of page 4 is a depreciation account or replacement of short-lived asset account. That's for things like painting your tank, rebuilding your pumps, buying your utility vehicles and those kind of things. Just a savings account for you to replace parts of the system that need replacing or rebuilding as they wear out. It might be something that you're doing now. It's not a separate account that you have to have if it's something you're doing now. If you've got a balance in there now, you can just designate that as your depreciation account. Make your deposits again either monthly or on a lump sum, fund it all up front, however you want to do it, that'll be fine. Okay, we're on page 5. This financing is based on you providing evidence or certification that you have at least 2,939 users. And that's broken down at the bottom of page 5. This was based on what we had at the time the PER was drawn up. 2935 residential, 3 commercial industrials, and 1 wholesale oil. All right, we're getting the rates a little bit later on. Let's talk about rates a little bit while we're here with users. We're not in the business of setting rates. Y'all know what it takes to operate the system. You'll know what it takes to be able to afford your debt service. So it'll be y'all's responsibility to maintain the rate schedule that's going to provide you the revenue that you need to pay all the operating costs, plus your debt service, your reserve account deposits, everything that you need to operate and maintain the system. All right, let's go to page 6. Here it is on item number 9. Let's talk about that. Do y'all have a mandatory hookup ordinance in town?
Do we have a mandatory? I didn't think so. We do, one says yes, one says yes, no.
I think we do.
Yeah, I thought we did too.
That's one thing
We'll make sure.
we actually do, yeah, okay. All right, we talked about OEM number 11. That ties into number 12. 13, I'll leave a form with you that you can use to certify that you have adequate insurance in accordance with state law for your general liability, workers' comp, fidelity bond, flood insurance if required, and property insurance. Accounting services, one thing that you're probably already doing, one thing that we will require for the life of the loan is an annual audit. We ask that you submit that to us for review. Page 8 and top of page 9 is lists the different requirements for the audit. Basically 2 types, GAGAS, G-A-G-A-S. That's an audit done in the course of general audit, government audit, generally accepted government auditing standards, easy for me to say. Generally accepted government auditing standards, and that's if you expend less than $500,000 in federal funds a year, or an A-133, that's a higher tier audit if you expend more than $500,000 in any fiscal year. So that takes you down to page, bottom of page 9. Over on page 10, item 15, which you'll require the services of your attorney. Close your loan, I'll leave a template for your legal services agreement and the forms that are mentioned there in that legal services paragraph as far as the preliminary title, your right-of-way certification, and those kind of things that we'll need prior to us being able to order closing instructions for the loan. So if we can get that information first, that'll keep us from having to wait on closing instructions at some point in the future. That's one of the first things we like to do is go ahead and get that out of the way. We send all that information that we get from bond counsel and local counsel to our general counsel in Atlanta. Depending on what their workload is, sometimes we get them back in as quick as a week. Sometimes it might take them 3 or 4 weeks. So that's why we don't want that to be a holdup. We like to get that ahead, far enough ahead of time as we can. 16 is property rights. That's the right-of-way map and the attorney's opinion on right of way that you do or will actually hold valid rights of way for where you're running the lines. Go to page 11, I've got your engineering agreement. The engineer will make a determination as who the resident construction inspector will be once construction gets started. 19, and over on the top of page 20, list of mitigation measures came out as a result of our environmental review. Really nothing out of the ordinary there. Item number 3 will be one that we'll have to put in the construction contract. Construction activities won't occur around the lake during the spring months. 1, 2, and 6 have to do with permits. That's pretty much par for the course. Everything else is basically best management practices that the contractor should be familiar with. So really nothing out of the ordinary there. Item number 20 is your VA vulnerability assessment and emergency response plan. That's probably something you have on hand already. That sounds familiar. If so, the only thing we need is just a copy of the certification that you have. I need a copy of either plan, certification that you have. At the bottom of page 13, I'll leave a spreadsheet for you if you provide that information on there as far as the race and gender breakdown for your employees, the council, and I can do our compliance review that's required on that. Page 14, item 22, just lists the conventional permits that are usually required on projects that will require. 23 says the work should be done by the contract, and those EJCDC stands for Engineer Joint Contract Document Committee. Those are just industry standard forms that the engineer will be familiar with. And those are the forms that we use, that we require for the construction contract. 24, you have a CCR or a SAM registration.
I'll say, change your wording there, it's Sam now.
Yeah, SAM, that's right, you have a SAM registration, that you keep that up, that expires, I think, every year, you have to renew that. 25 discusses bid authorization. Once we approve plans and specs, we'll agree to go ahead and bid the project, and then you go through your normal channels as far as bid approval. We'll sign off on the bid approval, get the contract document signed, and then we'll be ready to schedule a pre-con. 26 talks about cost overruns. In the event that bids come back more than what we anticipated, we do have a contingency allowance built in the project. If we can take from contingency and come up with enough that we need to complete the project, or have enough to meet the bid, we can do that. If you need additional funds over and above that, we can look at doing what's called a cost overrun, which is basically another loan to complete the project. You can also look at cutting costs, look at other alternate sources of funding, so that's something that we'll be able to discuss once we get closer to the bid, time to bid. On the flip side of that coin, if you have money left over, if bids come back way lower than we thought, and you have additional money left over, if within the scope of the project you need to run additional lines or you need additional pump stations or whatever, as long as within the scope of the project, we can entertain using additional funds for that. If you have money left over that you absolutely don't need, you can always turn it back. We can talk about that when the time comes. Item 28, just list a bunch of forms there. A lot of those I have with me tonight. Some of them are already done as part of the application process. If y'all vote to proceed, I can record your vote on the form, and I also have what we call the obligation form, request for obligation of funds, and that's what we use to commit the funds to the project if you vote to proceed. Last page is 17. If you have a dedication or groundbreaking ceremony, to let us know so we can coordinate with our people in Columbia so they can attend that. And last condition on the last paragraph on 17, you have basically 6 months to meet these conditions in the letter. If you need more time, within 4 months we haven't met them, then we can get together and talk about what kind of problems and challenges and roadblocks and hurdles we have to overcome, and then we'll come up with a plan to fix those and roll on. Okay, that's everything in a nutshell. I think you've covered all the high points. If you have any questions on anything specific, that's it from me.
I have a quick one. It's a dumb little question. Consider you have to process this in 2 separate loans. Do both the terms of the loans all 40 years for each of them, or does one disappear at a shorter period of time, or?
It'd be both 40. So
Okay.
we do one now and one whenever.
Just the limits,
5 years from now, 2 years from now, it'll be 40 years from that.
the limits of your accounting system is what you're saying, or plugging in the numbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Simple.
Okay, is this it? Because we said the letters of condition and resolution, so this is just it all wrapped in one nice
All
little
wrapped up
package?
in one pretty package.
I would really, really, really love to hear a motion from council.
And I also move that we accept these letters of conditions.
Second motion.
Motion from Bob, second from Charles. Discussion. Thank you. District 1,
District 1 votes yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 4,
District 4 votes yes.
District 5,
Yes.
District 7,
Yes.
District 8. And hallelujah, praise Jesus, Pastor Cornbread, yes. Stuart, I thank you.
Did not need to include the resolution in the motion.
It's all wrapped up into one document.
Okay.
Thank you for your time, your energy, your efforts. We're ready to go.
I think
We
y'all,
are past ready to go.
I know y'all, I got in on this on the tail end. I know it's been going on a
Yeah,
long
you've
time.
inherited something, but
I've been involved in it for about a year now, but I appreciate y'all, work on y'all, too. Y'all put a lot of time and effort in it. Appreciate working with Ted.
so what do you need to record from us? You got it, it was unanimous?
Is there one absent?
Yes. That would be District 6 that's absent. Do you need a name or anything like that?
Just a number.
All right, let's move on, so we can finish this up, and then we can help Stuart do anything he needs. Approval to authorize the Lexington County Elections Commission to remove the unopposed council districts 2 and 8 from the November election ballot. This is in accordance with state law. It gives the provision to remove from the ballot any seats that are uncontested.
This came from Dean Kraft. He said that there's state law that says that if there's a seat that is somebody being run unopposed and nobody petitions to become a petition where writing candidate within the time period, it is up to the body to decide whether the board goes elected or not. We have 2 positions that are currently in that place. Mr. Mills and Mr. Fox's seat that was why he signed up for. They're the only 2 people that signed up for those seats. So it's a pleasure of council whether you want to go forward with the elections or whether you want to vote to have them removed in the ballot as already determined.
I know historically, well, no, let's go ahead and put a motion on the table before we get into discussion. So is there a motion to approve? Is there a motion so we can talk about it?
Motion to approve.
Motion from Todd,
Second.
second from Charles. Now, historically, when we have had this scenario, the election has not been held in that seat. It's just sort of superfluous to put a name and a district on a ballot when there's nobody else to vote for other than one individual. So.
Is there no opportunity for the citizens to write in a name at that time?
Not at that
If it has to have been petitioned.
There's a deadline for somebody to say they're a petition candidate.
10 days after the sign,
Right.
10 days after.
after that Friday. September 3rd was the cutoff. be a waste of money too, to have the election and just one person.
Right.
Sure, sure.
If we don't do this, we have to man the station.
Well, they're gonna have it.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't an option,
Well, there's
somebody
other-
didn't have the opportunity to write in somebody's name just because they chose to, but they can't do that. So there is, it is kind of a mute question.
It's all in the same place.
Well, this is not a general election, it could come into play that it would be a cost-saving matter, particularly when you get into other county lines. But this year it happens to fall in the general election cycle, so. But I think Ted was given one of y'all given some information about there would be a cost savings.
There was $300 to $400 cost savings by not having 2 and 8 on the ballot in November.
350 to 400.
350.
Everything's electronic, I don't know. But that's election evening. Any more discussion? District 1?
District 1 votes yes.
District 2,
Abstain.
District 4,
District 4 votes yes.
District 5,
No.
District 7,
Yes.
District 8.
Do I have to abstain since it doesn't?
No, you're not on the ballot.
I vote yes.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, approval of an MOU between the town of Batesburg-Leesville and the town of Lexington. Chief, you want to touch base on this real quick?
Yeah, I know y'all were briefly, we briefed you last council meeting, but they being Lexington City, has sent us a contract to sign so they can start the purchase process. And I'll pass around a picture. This is a picture of Atlanta Police Department's range, and this is similar to what this one will look like. What the agreement says is that the town of Lexington, who has used our range for about 20 years now, has decided that they will invest $129,000 in our range to build a high-tech target system. What they're only thing they're asking in return is a contract, a 20-year contract that will allow them to use the range for the next 20 years since they go invest this amount of money. They also ask us to pour the concrete pad and run the conduits, which we estimated a cost of roughly $3,000 to do. We have that money in donated funds, so it won't come out of the budget or anything like that. It's money we already have in donated funds to do that, and we'll use our own labor to do it also. So we feel that this is, of course, a win situation. Lexington, by the contract they're into, the only thing they're asking is that we not shut them out of the range for the next 20 years, if they'll be allowed to use it. They will furnish the service contract on the piece of equipment for the next 20 years. We will service the range itself. In other words, we'll cut the grass, we'll pay the electric bill, they'll provide it, they'll maintain the target system itself for the next 20 years, which we already cut the grass and paid the electric bill. So, anyway, that's basically it, unless someone has questions.
Do I hear a motion to approve this MOU between the town of Batesburg-Leesville and the town of Lexington?
Motion to approve.
Second.
From Todd, second from Rachel. Any further discussion? Or any discussion? District 1,
District 1 votes yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 4,
District 4 votes yes.
District 5,
Yes.
District 7,
Yes.
District 8, and I vote yes. And there are action items following the executive session. Motion to adjourn.
Matt, before we do, I have a question going back up to new business, the approval.
We done gone on. What's your question?
In our white paper, it talked about going ahead and deeding that to the county, that parcel. Were we to act on that tonight?
Not yet. I think we've got to have that discussion with them, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay. Please adjourn.
Bob, remember, we didn't have to have that conversation.
same reason, that way it's have no opportunity to write about it. I don't know if you
And then the other question was if you
actually, this is one of the very few times that I hold the leader with that wrong stuff.
With offering them.
She wrote an article, a commentary, I think it was yesterday, talking about this year, anything here about people who do personal time. Try again. Gonna try to do it just because you're working.
Well, and that's how I feel.
We're all talking about all that work. That's all we do.
We're gonna make it on, make it on down the table here. Can you tell what to do?
We beat that horse all day in the PEO.
And I wasn't on that. But we couldn't.
It was good to see those those minutes from the board meeting, that answered all the questions. They came out there, we knew the conditions and all that.
We started.
Yes, ma'am?
Wait a minute. Rich Rain,
Said something about sign something.
He's got paperwork he had to fill out.
Because I'm not
Recording the motion. Yeah,
I appreciate it.